Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome today to the June the 8th TEA LEA webinar. Thank you very much for your attendance today. My name is Derek Hollingsworth. I will be your host for this afternoon. As a reminder, before we get started, the chat feature is disabled, but you can certainly put questions in the Q&A section. The presenters will review your submissions. There is no live Q&A today. Today's agenda includes the following topics: the legal framework assessment or assurances walkthrough, SPP clarification updates, and then finally Star Alt 2 participation updates. Our first topic today is, of course, the legal framework assurances walkthrough. And so our first presenter is Lee Lentz Edwards, who is the Special Ed Director from ESC 18 in Midland. So Lee, the floor is yours. Lee, you're muted.
Muted. That's twice today that I've done that. So hello, everybody. Can everybody see my PowerPoint? Okay. What we want to do is I want to walk you through, and the first thing that you'll need to do, and not that you want to follow along with me, but so that you can understand, you have to go to the Legal Framework website. When you do go to the Legal Framework website, what you need to do is you need to click on Administrator Login. We've gotten a lot of comment that they really like the Administrator Login because now they can find it. When you get to that page, it will bring up this one where you need to enter the appropriate email and password. Now, all special ed directors have a password and have an email and a password. And then you want to click log in. And then the next thing that you will see is the district where you are assigned. What I'm showing you today is just a training one. And then you continue. And what will come up is this page, and it's assurance statements. And what you want to do is you want to click on the assurance statement right here where it says annual assurances. And then once you get to annual assurances, then you'll have to read this little statement, and then you click continue. And as you can see, when you go in, it will have your name, and there's your annual, your assurance statements, and it will say pending. If you're in the right district, it'll say pending. And what you want to do is you want to click on this little hand signal. And when you do, this page opens up, and this is the annual assurance statement. And what you want to do is you want to read this first statement. And then when you read it, if you can assure, then what you want to do is you want to click the assurance statement. And then you have the opportunity to go down here to the Transition Employment Designee Directory and Transition Employment Guide posting. And then you need to read this, and there's a lot of stuff there, so it's going to take you a few minutes. Once they have read this, then they have to click all three boxes. You are going to assure that the current Transition and Employment Designee has been listed on ASTED. Now, it's not the special ed director that goes into ASTED and updates. Somebody within the district. It's usually the superintendent or his designee. It might be the secretary, it may be somebody in HR, but one person per district goes in and changes ASTED. And then the second thing that needs to be, you would need to assure them is that that transition designee that's listed on Ask Ted, you're assuring that they're going to get the training. And then the third thing is what you want to check there is the third box, and you want to check that the transition employment guide is linked from the Texas transition website to your local website. And so you've got to check all three of those boxes. And when you do that, when you have done that, then you get to click right here where it says the LEA assures that the statements are accurate and meet submission requirements. And what that was, you wanted to click this one, these three, click right here, and then submit. And then when you submit right here, it says print confirmation. And so you can do that. And then it says return to index. And when you click return to index, it'll take you back to this page, but instead of saying pending, it says completed. And that's all there is to the assurance statement. You need to make sure that everybody submits before or by August 31st, 2023. And there will be another assurance statement that's coming out, and that's on cameras in the classroom. And it also has to be submitted by August 31st. In June, sometime in June, we will have it ready, and then you can submit it as well. If you have any questions, you can contact your regional legal framework contact. And you can find them over here on the website if you want to go to your region. And if you still can't, anyway, you can call us anytime and we will be happy to help. And here are our emails and our contact information. And Derek, that's all I have.
All right, Lee, thank you very much. It's always a lot of good information. Appreciate that. So our next topic today is SPP clarification updates. And those updates are going to be provided by Ed O'Neill, who's the Executive Director of the Review and Support Monitoring Division.
Good afternoon. Just a reminder, I'll share my screen as well. Last March, oh wait, wrong one. I was just looking up something else. So I'll pull up the old TA as I'm talking. So I apologize. So last March, we put out a TAA talking about child find delay reasons and the new data collection that was going in TSDS. We've gone through that process this year, looking at specifically SPP 11B, which is the eligibility piece. We've been able to verify that the data is doing exactly what we expected the data and want the data to do. Here it is. So this is the actual page I wanted to show. So last March, we had sent out the TAA talking about SPP 11B or eligibility, and that, this very last section going forward, LEAs will be able to report reason codes for delays in eligibility as well as evaluation, and that this would relate and be used in general supervision and monitoring activities. So coming into this next SPP data submission, we will be looking at SPP 11 and SPP 11A and B. B is the newer factor, obviously, with eligibilities. LEAs will go through the clarification process with SPP 11B, similar to the SPP 11A clarification process, showing documents, verifying processes, identifying where we can clarify items that, due to absences, due to timeline, due to withdrawal, things like that, that would clear missing a timeline. And then in instances where missed timelines are not clarified with the data and justification, that will result in a corrective action plan, just like it does for SPP 11A. So we'll put out a TAA next month, highlighting this again. There'll be an announcement in the special education newsletters over the summer, reminding people of this. But again, we started talking about this about 15 months ago, but now that we know for sure that the data is doing exactly what we expected to in TSDS, we're going to move forward with treating it through general supervision and monitoring. So, just like SPP 11A, everything goes through. If it's 100% and it's compliant, you move forward. Clarifications are, the clarification process is when there is reason codes that show exceptions and show not meeting a requirement. So, and that is all I have, Derek.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Our next topic is STAR Alt 2 participation updates. And this update will be presented or provided by the assessment division team.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Cole. I'm the Director of Policy and Publications in Student Assessment. Andrew?
And my name's Andrew Lawver, and I'm the Director of Test Administration.
So we have a few slides to present to you just on some updates. So let me get to the share button. And hopefully you guys are seeing my slides, which it looks like you are. And let me just start the PowerPoint. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So specifically, we want to talk about the 1% waiver first. As you are aware, hopefully, the Title I of ESSA requires states to limit the number of students who participate in an alternate assessment to no more than 1% of the enrolled students. And that's a statewide limit, not a district limit. It also allows states who anticipate exceeding the 1% to submit a waiver if they anticipate exceeding that 1%. Texas has successfully submitted waivers to exceed the 1% for the past 5 years. The only year that it wasn't accepted was in 2020, and that's when the tests were canceled due to COVID. However, over the past 5 years, there has not been a significant change in the statewide number of students assessed with STAR Alternate 2. The state ranges anywhere from 1.2 to 1.5%, depending on the year and the subject areas. For the 1% waiver for this year, we submitted our request in December of 2022. It's on our STAR Alternate 2 webpage. However, in March, we received a denial of the waiver. And this is the first time we've received the denial of the waiver and needed to take some additional actions or some additional steps. Since that time, Student Assessment has been working with our Special Education Division to come up with a new plan for updating STAR Alternate 2 documents and trainings to ensure that all students are appropriately addressed.
And I do want to mention one thing is that we are not the only state that was denied for this 1% waiver. There are 12 other states currently that have been denied for this year. And so we're all sitting on boring meetings trying to figure out the best way that we can help make sure that our students are assessed appropriately. So we are continuing to monitor that. One thing that is clear is that in order for us to make sure that we assess our students correctly, that something has to change as far as the way that we are documenting STAR Alternate 2, the way that we are looking at participation requirements. And Julie's going to get into participation requirements in just a second.
Right, and I just want to clarify, our goal is not to get under 1% necessarily as a state. Our goal is to make sure that all students are appropriately assessed. And so if once we do some additional work, whether that's updating the requirements, the companion documents, the trainings, etc., if we see some movement, that would be great. But again, it's not to necessarily get us under the 1%. It's to make sure students are appropriately assessed. So as we are looking at updating our STAR Alternate 2 participation requirements, we will be adding more detail, which you'll see in just a minute, as well as some more decision making within there and some additional checkboxes. So this is the current version, which is right now 1 page. As we add more detail, it's going to get a little bit longer. Apologies in advance. And I also want to be clear, we are doing this for the 23-24 school year. So we will have a revised document as soon as possible. Our goal is August 1st, but that's why we're here with you today, is to give you the heads up and let you know that we will have a new participation requirements document for Star Alt 2 for this upcoming school year. So what the new document looks like, as I mentioned, it has more detail. And so the updated criteria will have several different categories similar to our current version. One category, for example, is determining access to grade level curriculum, where we'll have several bullets that kind of outline the information that's necessary. And don't worry, you're not needing to read all the text on the screen. It's just an example of what we're looking at. A lot of times we'll have the and in boldface. Sometimes we'll have an or, but that of course means that both of those pieces need to be met. After we introduce the criteria, we'll have a question. Does the student, for example, does the student require specialized, extensive, repeated supports with daily functions? Which is over here. And by the way, this isn't necessarily the format. This is just for this slide. To help you answer that question, we'll have several sections of information that you'll need to read through and figure out which column best describes the student. For this particular question, we'll have 3 different sections. We'll have access to grade level curriculum, daily functioning and social settings, caring for health and personal needs. You may only answer yes if the last column, column 4, is marked in all 3 of these sections, meaning if that column 4 best describes the student in all 3 of these sections. If the answer is yes, you can continue going through the document. But if the answer is no to this question, you have to stop. That indicates the student is not eligible to participate in STAR Alternate 2 and must participate in STAR, the general assessment. So what these columns look like, this is an example of what the columns look like for the caring for health and personal needs section. So again, the task is to read through each column and determine which column best describes a particular student. And again, you'll have the ands, and every now and again, you'll have the ors. So you have to consider all the different components. So you'll do this a couple of times in each section. And again, you'll have to go back to answer the question, and you can only answer yes if you have marked column 4 in all of the criteria or all of the sections. If the answer is no to any of the questions, you have to stop, and the student's not eligible for STAR Alternate 2. They must take STAR.
And as you're looking at this, the verbiage, the wording that we have, just remember this is draft at this point. And we will provide additional, we are continuing to work with the special education division here at TEA and to revise what this language looks like. And we will have this out as quickly as we can.
That's all we have, but we wanted to provide this brief update, give you the heads up that the waiver was denied, and that we will be updating our participation requirements as well as other documents and trainings for the next school year.
All right.
Derek?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm passing it back to you.
Well, thank you very much. So this is the end of our meeting today. Thank you very much, Lee and Ed and Julie and Andrew for coming on and sharing some great information. Before we sign off, just a couple of reminders. The next TEA LEA webinar is scheduled for June the 22nd. And then also the recording of this webinar will be available on the website within the next couple of days. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Have a great afternoon.